right, so welcome everybody. My name is Shanila, and we have put together such an awesome stay-at-home festival. I am the founder of Integrative Wellness Leaders. We're a little collective of wellness leaders that are healers, integrative health coaches in physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental capacity, and we work in holistic ways, medical ways, and we try to have a holistic perspective on people's well-being. So it's a really big honor to include a lot of amazing presenters and practitioners in the series that we're able to host with WellSet. And WellSet is the first a centralized platform for finding practitioners. So if you have a very specific need, if you're trying to solve a gut health problem and you're a person in your 40s and you're pregnant, you can really specifically search the practitioner that is for you. And that's the honor we have right now. And because of the demand this was just going to be like a 1 week festival. We're just like, hey, let's just have, a couple of practitioners come on. But due to the demand of the people showing up and how much it's helpful, we're definitely going to keep it going for another couple of weeks. So we have Abby, who is a licensed practitioner, acupuncturist. And why don't you take it away, Abby? I'm going to get off the camera and let you take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Shanila. I'm so excited to be here. As she mentioned, I'm an acupuncturist, I'm an herbalist, and so today we just thought we'd give you some tools to do self-acupuncture or acupressure. Really the only difference between acupuncture and acupressure is one uses needles and one uses hands. So they're both super effective, and I love that you can take this medicine, make it your own, and have it available to you just by the use of your hands. So today, given the state of the world, essentially, I kind of grouped 3 different ways to go about treating anxiety. One thing that's really beautiful about acupuncture is it treats symptoms, but I believe like the biggest thing that it does is it just simply brings you back to yourself. Any modality that we're doing, any healing work that we're doing, I feel like that's kind of like the end point, is just bringing you back to yourself, because I think deep down we all know that like we have the answers, like the answers always reside within us. And so acupuncture is beautiful at that. It's just kind of like getting that like noise out of the way that is showing up in the form of symptoms, whether it's anxiety, depression, digestive complaints, headaches. Really, it's just all about coming back to ourselves, coming back to our true nature. So we're going to go over some points, how to kind of clear some of that anxiety, and you'll see that it always just kind of brings you right back into that internal guide. So I did do a little diagram. So if you are able to screenshot it, you can. These are the points that we're going to be using. They are using the heart and the kidney and the stomach meridian. Meridians are essentially energy lines that run through our body. They originate in our organs, and then they flow out onto our wrists, our face, our trunk, everywhere. They go throughout our whole body. So we're going to be using here, the green signifies kidneys, the red signifies the heart points, and then the yellow is the stomach points. So what you'll see is people manifest anxiety in different ways. So we have kind of what I would call like the worry war, the person that's like constantly ruminating on the what ifs, or like the what I should have done, etc. And that's more of like a digestive stomach kind of worry and anxiety. It's like the monkey mind, the back and forth. And then we have our heart anxiety that's going to feel a little bit more like actually fluttery in our chest. It may manifest as like dreams, vivid dreams, nightmares. It may manifest as like an inability to kind of connect with people, to kind of, you kind of have this like push-pull in all of your relationships, friendships, romantic, family, whatever. It's like you want the person, and then you're like, no, like there's this vulnerability component. And then we have this kind of kidney anxiety, which is like a really deep fear, you know, and sometimes we're like a little bit of a combo of everything. So these are all going to work really nice together. And yeah, so we'll get started. So I'm going to start with that kind of stomach ruminating anxiety, the overthinking anxiety. And I'm going to show you on myself. And that's going to be these little points here, kind of on the collarbone. So there's an 8 here. And basically, in Chinese medicine, we have different measurements in how we calculate the body. So from this, like the middle of your collarbone to the shoulder is basically like 8 so 8 spaces. And so the stomach points are all going to be on the 4th space. So right in between the collarbone and the shoulder is going to be that 4. And so the first one is going to start at the top here. And this one is really beautiful. So this is kind of all about, so you want to go collarbone and kind of sink into that hole right on top of the collarbone, right in between. And this is called, stomach 12, but it's called broken bowl. So this is kind of something you want to use when you're so depleted, like you're just like distraught. Like usually you're going to use this when something really big has happened, where it's broken bowl. So literally, like, you feel broken. You feel like you don't even have a bowl to put your food in, nourishment, like you're just unable to be nourished. And so you're going to want to use this point. Right underneath the collarbone, you just slide down right under the collarbone. That's going to be stomach 13, and that's called chi door. So that's going to begin to open up that energy. So like up here, you're really distraught. You just like can hardly function. And then you drop down and it's like, okay, wait, like I can do this. Like I can open myself up to the world again. I can begin to receive that nourishment. I can be loved. I can be mothered. And that's just going to kind of like bring you back into your center and help you feel like a little more rooted. And then again, right underneath that, you're still going to be in that first space of your rib, but it's just ever so slightly under the second one. So we've got stomach 12, we've got stomach 13, and then barely under, we've got stomach 14. And when you're feeling these, like for me, I can sometimes feel like a hole, or I can feel tenderness, or it feels sticky or goopy. So that's kind of the cool thing as you're like going through and you are like getting used to your body in a different way. Like this points will kind of speak to you, and they'll let you know like, oh yeah, definitely this is active, like hold me here. And you'll just start to understand your body in a really like tactile way. So for me, this one's a little tender, the third one. This one's called stomach 14, and it's called the storeroom. So essentially, this is letting you know here you have reserves, like you have that energy there. It's just kind of been covered up by maybe some sadness, maybe some anxiety. But right here, you walk down and it kind of feels like, we got you. There's energy here. You can rest, you can relax, you can receive. Like it's here, it's all in here. Like not to worry, we got this. And that's going to be the stomach one. So all of these points are on both sides of your body. On the diagram, I just laid it out on one side just so that you could see a little bit easier, and the drawing wasn't super cluttered, but they all run on both sides of your body. So when you're doing your acupressure and you're going over your stomach points, you can use both sides, you can use one side. It's all going to balance out. It's just whatever you're called to do. So for me, I was just showing you the one, but they're all on both sides. And this isn't about being perfect and getting the point exactly where it is when you're doing it for yourself. It's more about just like tuning in and listening to your body and understanding like what you need and what your body is calling out for, and getting yourself into a space where your body is able to begin to heal itself. So that's kind of like the stomach anxiety, the worrier, the one who is overthinking everything. That's where you're going to kind of want to go for your anxieties, when you just can't kind of stop spinning out in your mind. So next we'll go to the heart kind of anxiety, the anxiety that's like you're fluttery, you're kind of outside of your body, you're maybe getting even a little dizzy or dissociating, your heart may be beating really fast, or you feel like tightness or pressure, or even that pain in your arm, and that push-pull with people where you can't quite, you like want to be close but you don't want to be close, and you like self-sabotage, like that kind of anxiety and interacting with people, that we're going to call kind of like a heart or a fire type of elements and anxiety. My favorite point for that is literally right in the middle of your chest. So we have these intercostal spaces where the ribs are, and this is going to be in your fourth intercostal space. So literally like right between the nipples, right here is going to be, we call it REN 17. That's just the number in the meridian. And the name of it is literally chest center. So obviously it's this guy here. And this one I find, if you're this type of anxiety, is like instantly calming. You know, you connect with yourself, you literally feel your heart beating, you can check in with yourself and just kind of like see where you're at. It's something that you could do even if you're out in public or you're at a party. You know, it's not like super weird to be like, oh, I'm just gonna set my hand here for a second. It just is, it's very instantly calming to me, and it instantly just connects me back in here, and to trust myself and trust my person and trust God, and just know that like we're good, we're here, my heart's beating, I'm here for a purpose. So it's called chest center. It revitalizes, it fills, and it centers you. Any kind of like deficient energy, this is a good point to use because it does kind of give you that filling up. Again, so a deficient heart energy might look like those heart palpitations, or maybe even like actually cold in the area, cold hands potentially. It's good for tightening around the chest, as I mentioned, and this is really beautiful. It says, the palace where the heart resides, the temple of heaven within our body. So I love that so much. It's basically saying here is like where we store all of our heavenly energy. I'm sure you've heard before that your heart is an extension, or your hands are an extension of your heart. So it's like everything you do with your hands, it kind of comes from your heart. I think it's just kind of reiterating that. So all of our like heavenly energy is stored here, and then we just move it through our body from this space. So anytime there is that fear or that anxiety, and we use this point here, we're kind of unblocking it so we can share that beautiful heart energy that we have with the world. I think that's what we're here for. So that is REN 17. And for this one, obviously, it's right in the center of our body. So this is the only point we have, where most of the other points mirror themselves. This is the only one that's going to be right here, and that's the only one. All right, this one's also really one of my favorite. I tend to be more of like a heart type anxiety, so I really resonate with these points. And so they're always super beautiful to me because it's just kind of like my makeup. But this point, heart 5, we're going to use, it's right here on the wrist. And again, we'll have it on both sides. So how you're going to find this is you've got your wrist crease here, and then you take your one finger and it's literally below. So it's like one finger breadth away from your wrist crease. So you're going to find it right here on the pinky side of your body. And again, there's a bunch of heart points in a little line right here. So whenever you're utilizing the acupressure, even if you just wanted to kind of rub this area, that would be totally fine because you're kind of getting a gamut of different heart points. And that's going to be a really beautiful thing, a really calming thing, and just really moving things through the heart. And so this one in particular is really good for that push-pull I was mentioning, and allowing people deeper into your heart space if that's what you want. So sometimes like that vulnerability is an issue. So this is going to kind of heal that vulnerability piece that's kind of making you feel like you need to push people away. And also just, it's really soothing. They say this point is actually giving you a glimpse of God within. So it's literally taking you into the place where God resides within you. That is you. So it's really beautiful. So this is good for somebody who's always holding back and really kind of like almost skittish in a way, frightened. This is also actually really good for that kind of anxiety where you do get a little dizzy, you know, when you get like so overwhelmed, almost feels like the world is spinning around you. This is a great spot to just kind of help bring you down, center you, calm that internal, we call it wind in Chinese medicine, which kind of makes sense with like the spinning and the dizzy and the kind of back and forth. So this is a really good one for bringing you back down into your body, soothing your spirit, and really good for opening you up to intimacy with humans. So heart 5, it's called penetrating inside. That's the name of this point. So again, any area on this line here, this is going to be great for heart stuff, that heart kind of anxiety. And I have one more that's really great for that heart anxiety. And this one's really cool because you may have seen these before at the store, like Walgreens, CVS. They're called C-bands. So you kind of place them 3 finger breadths away from the wrist crease. And so the heart line is on this side, and this one's going to be the pericardium. So this is going to be right here in the middle. So you take your 3 fingers, and then it's going to be at this last one. And so sometimes for me, I find a little divot. There's kind of like a little hole, a little concave hole. So this is actually good for a lot of maladies. You can use it for anxiety. You can use it for nausea. It's huge in pregnancy for women for nausea. You can use it for irritability. It's a great point. It's used really often. And as I was mentioning, there are these things at the store called C-bands that they sell. Literally looks like a hair tie with a little tiny, not quite a magnet, but just like something to set on there that they use for acupressure to help if you're going on a cruise and you get seasick, or they say use it for pregnancy and it'll help with the morning sickness. So this one's really good for, similar to heart 5, the one we just spoke about here, but it's also good for anxiety and depression. So it's going to treat more of like the gamut of emotional disturbances and mental disorders as opposed to like just that heart component. It's like you would use this point on somebody when they're the type of person where it's like almost like they have resting bitch face, but like that's their energy, right? So it's like sometimes people have it and they're totally not, but then sometimes people you're like, oh no, legit, like I don't really want to talk to you, because they're so closed off because of like whatever, maybe pain or past issues that they had. They're just super closed off. So this is gonna be like a soft way to open you up to others, to where you stop with that like push pull and you can have like really beautiful relationships. Yeah, that's pericardium 6. So this is a really beautiful one. Okay, and the last one that we're gonna do for the anxiety is going to be along the kidney meridian. And so there's actually points up here for the kidney. They go down your whole body, but these are the ones that are really good for like that kidney anxiety. The kidney anxiety is going to be more like a primal fear. So think of like fight or flight, like running from the the tiger or the lion, like that very base fear, but then it's like running through your life all the time. So you're like constantly in this state of like jacked up stress. So you can also think of this as like, maybe you've heard the term adrenal fatigue, where you're just really like burning out all the time, even with the simplest of things, because there's this like background programming under here that's like constantly saying like, run, 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 fear, 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 like be scared, scared, scared. Like maybe you're sleeping at night, but you're not actually fully sleeping because you just have this like mental and physiological stressors in your body. To be honest, I think a lot of us live in this constant sympathetic, parasympathetic kind of like non-existent state where we're just always on the go. We're always running. So these are going to be really great to help kind of mitigate that, get you back into that like rest and digest state where you can start to feel at ease, even if things that are coming at you are stressful. So yeah, this is going to help heal the adrenals. We're all in that like adrenal fatigue a little bit here in the West. I mean, maybe not as much now because we're all just being kind of quarantined to like chill. And I don't think that's such a bad thing for humanity right now. So, okay, we're going to start up here on the chest. So each actually one of these intercostal spaces do have a kidney point, but we're just going to go over two. They're two of my favorite. And let me move that out of the way. So we'll start up here. So we've got the collarbone, and then you're just going to go right underneath it. And then here we have the sternum, which is this just hard bone in the middle. And if you just fall right off the sternum, you almost fall right into those kidney points. So the sternum and then the intercostal spaces where it's just like, here's the ribs, and then right between the ribs, right? That's going to be where all of the kidney points are. So when you're doing this acupressure, literally, if you're just like finding those spaces between your ribs, that's just going to be really soothing and healing. And even if you just like pull it out, because not only are you going to be hitting those kidney points, but if you go out, you'll hit those stomach points as well. So digestive stuff, whatever, you'll be able to calm it all down. And it just feels nice to rest your hands on your chest, in my opinion, sometimes. So this is where these are. So we got kind of under the collarbone and then a little bit down. So technically what we say is there are two spaces between here and here. You go 1, 2. But I find it easier when you just slip right off of that sternum bone, and you'll fall right into all of those kidney points. So the kidney 27 is going to be kind of up here, right under that collarbone, and it's not quite in an intercostal space, but you'll feel it. For me, that one's a little bit tender as well. And then that one's really good for like when your spirit is super depleted. And then when your spirit's depleted, I think that's going to look different for different people, but something you might notice is like your will to like not accomplish, but like do things that you normally love, it's just not there. You maybe depression, you just kind of feel like yeah. And so this is a really good point to use to like invigorate that spirit, to help you realize like I can conquer anything. And again, it's just another example how this is just like bringing you back to yourself and realizing your resolve and your strength. So this point here, kidney 27, it is just going to be really good to connect your mind, connect your body, and connect your spirit, and build you up and restore you. And then if you go down, there's the first intercostal space, and then here's the second intercostal space. And this is going to be where the other kidney point is. And this one is going to, this one actually has a really good connection with that heart energy as well. So it's going to do the same as this one up here and like invigorating your spirit, but it adds in that heart component. So You're going to invigorate your spirit, but you're going to also call forth your heart energy too. So it's like infusing that spirit with all of your passion and all of your goodness and all of your gifts, and just reminding yourself that that's here for me. I am here. So these are all very interconnected. Our whole bodies are all very interconnected. And then the last one I'm going to show you is, it's actually on the bottom of the foot. So that's not technically where it is, but I'm not the best artist, so I couldn't draw the bottom of the foot that would make you be able to understand, like, oh yeah, that's the bottom of the foot. You'd be like, what is that? So I'm just going to show you on my foot. So here, if you find like the padding of the foot, let me just take off my socks so you can see a little easier the landmarks. Okay, so it's going to be right here. You kind of have this like V at the bottom of your foot, and that's kidney 1. And this is a super beautiful, grounding, amazing point. And what's so cool about it is like you're able to receive the energy of the earth from that point. In fact, I think it's called like bubbling spring, as in like the earth is bubbling up and like almost like giving you her energy, right? So you're able to bring that energy of the earth up, which is like, think of like the most nourishing mom, you know, the one that like cooks for you and all of your friends and is loving and round, excuse me, round, robust, warm, nourishing. So it's going to bring all of that energy up to you. And then you're also able to anchor your kind of like potentially flighty or scattered energy down into it and release it and clear it and cleanse that stagnant energy that is blocking you up from living your potential. So that's going to be the kidney 1 energy. So that's something you can use if you, with your finger, of course, or say you're like sitting in class or you're sitting at work or you're driving, and it's something that you can put your attention on, and almost as if you're able to like grow a tentacle down into the ground, and you can just sort of feel your energy start to settle at that point. It's used a lot in Qigong. It's a huge point in Qigong. So let's just Qigong as like a Chinese energy exercise, really. And it's a really beautiful connective point, a connective point for yourself, but it's also going to connect you to the earth, which I think is a really important thing to realize, that the earth is there, the earth is supporting you. So it's not like just you alone doing this, like you have so much support and so many resources. And I think that's kind of what all these points teach us. So I'm happy to take any questions. If anybody has any questions about this, I did go through all of the points. I would definitely encourage you, if you did screenshot the picture or you just have a really good memory, to like go through them and just really get to know them. And when you're holding your different points and you're playing with them, what comes up for you? Does it feel like really nourishing, or does it feel like you're releasing something, or does it feel very soothing and grounding, or does it feel like, oh, this is kind of like gunky or icky and sticky? And just kind of be aware of what your body is presenting you, because your body is constantly trying to talk to you and tell you things and lead you to a path where you can be your best self and you can feel constantly in a state of empowerment for you. So, okay.
We have a few questions here.
Yeah.
So does it matter left or right wrist?
It doesn't matter. I think whatever you're called to, and I think whatever is just easy and convenient. All of the points are on both sides, as I mentioned, except for the one that's in the center of your chest, because you just have one center of your chest. So yeah, everything's on both sides.
And what is the number of the second kidney point you mentioned?
The second, okay, so the one up here is kidney 27, and then the one down here is kidney 25. I may have crossed them in the presentation, but the numbers count from the bottom up. So 1 is the bottom of the foot, and then you go all the way up, and then 25 and 27. And then there's a 26 in here too. So feel free to read that.
So the screenshot, I dropped that into the chat, so feel free to click on it. You'll be able to have a copy for yourself. Yeah. And awesome. Somebody asks, is there a point for anxiety headache?
If you tell me where the headache is located, I could give you a better idea. Yeah, so if it's like front, is it the top? Is it one-sided?
Miss Robertson, if there's a specific anxiety headache, let us know in the chat. Somebody says, beautiful, I have 2 questions. Any of these points are alternate good when you find symptom of anxiety is holding your breath?
Like when you're anxious, you tend to hold your breath?
Yeah,
is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the center of the chest one is going to be awesome for that. Also, the one that's like in the middle of the wrist will be really helpful for that. Anything here, because whatever you're doing here is going to start to move that chest energy. And actually, right where your ribs meet, and there's kind of a V, there's a point right there that's also really good for like expanding the diaphragm. Yeah, but I think just being aware of it and then like taking those breaths is going to be really helpful too.
Awesome. So somebody else, a few people are asking what is the optimal time to put pressure on these points?
I think whenever you feel that release, like for me, for example, if I'm having anxiety, literally the second that I put my hand here, it just kind of calls my attention and I'm able to like just move through it quick. But I think it's going to be different for everyone. If you're sitting in a meditation and you're just like getting used to these points and you're just curious about them, maybe you'd hold them longer. If you're just like doing a gentle massage while you're at your desk for work, maybe just a couple seconds is all you need. So it's just going to be based on what you're trying to do with the points, and really listening to like your own internal guidance for you.
Awesome. And they're also asking, is it holding down or is it a massage better? Is any of, what's the best way to do it?
I think any is good. Sometimes like I'll like to do little circles in the area, especially if it's feeling a little tender. I don't know. I would say I don't tend to just stay over one point. There's nothing wrong with it. You totally can. But for me, I think I just, I tend to, kind of rub them a little bit, but that's what feels good to me. So I think whatever feels good to you, it's not going to be wrong because you're your own best doctor, in my opinion.
So what does it mean if the pressure point feels sensitive?
Usually I think it means like you're probably just dealing with maybe a blockage or like stagnation or perhaps a deficiency. So I think it means it's like a good point for you to massage. So like the stomach ones, maybe if those are tender, maybe you tend to be that kind of mental worrier, and perhaps you even have some physical stomach symptoms like easily upset belly, or when you get stressed, you hold it there, so it's probably just a good point for you.
So with the headache, they're saying it's the back of the head or sometimes the way front of the head.
So like this front. So if it's here, that's going to be more of like a stomach headache, and then you're going to want to use the points here. If it's like the back here, kind of occipital, you could use kidney 1, the one on the bottom of your foot, and then let me show you a different one on the side. That's more of like a bladder meridian headache, and we didn't go over any bladder points. Sorry, but that you'll want to use like this side of your foot here. That's going to be the bladder meridian, and that's going to pull that tight energy down to the ground so it doesn't feel so stuck. And honestly, you probably just have tight shoulders too, so you could use like massage or acupuncture.
So this might be a more involved question, but how do you treat shingles? This person has a rash on their left breast, abdomen, and chest.
So That might be pretty heart related, honestly. So you could definitely use the heart points we went over. A technique we use a lot when I'm doing acupuncture, we call it surround the dragon, and it's literally just putting needles around the shingles. So you could do something like that, not needles obviously, but maybe like your hands massage or some kind of like liniments or oil. And then you could even do in the middle of the back, like kind of between your shoulder blades where the vertebrae are. You could massage those vertebrae that are like between your spine, because those are the corresponding nerves that would go to where you mentioned your shingles are. So that would be good to just kind of decrease the inflammation around that cervical nerve or thoracic nerve.
Someone's asking for the screenshot. I'll drop it in there again. Any introductory book recommendations? Any?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know. I can maybe get back to you if you want to leave your info. I can do a little research for you. But I use a book that I have from school, and just like my knowledge from experience and learning in school. So the books I used were literally like texts. So I don't know if those would be as helpful for you, but yeah, I'll see what I can find about acupressure.
Cool. Somebody's asking, can you briefly review 12, 13, 14 names and the meanings?
Oh yeah, the stomach. Sure. So the names. So the 12 is like the broken bowl, and then that's the one that's sitting up here. And that's like you use with there was like a very deep sense of loss. Like they even say like a miscarriage or abortion, like a really deep sense of loss that leaves you feeling completely like destroyed in a way, for lack of a better term. And that's where you would want to go there. Right underneath that is called chi door. So that's kind of like, you're almost like letting the sun in a little bit, right? Like you're letting the ability to be nurtured in slowly but surely. And then the third one, stomach 14, is called storeroom. And that one is almost like you're very depleted, but we're using this point to be like, listen, relax here. You have all of these resources here. They're open for you. It's yours. You can sink deeply into this space. To me, there's like a safety element to it. Like you can feel safe. You can feel lay here, like rejuvenate, where like you're here for you. Like you got this kind of energy. And that one's called storeroom. That helpful?
Yes. And then Tegan is wondering, do you have a simple digestion point?
Yeah, so all of those will work great for digestion because they're all on the stomach meridian. This one actually works really good for digestion too because it meets with some of the other digestive meridians. I will say the best one for just like boosting immunity, nourishing your digestive system is actually, I'll show you on this side. It's on your leg. So it's like on this side, right under your knee, a few finger breaths right under your knee, close to your shin bone. And that one's called stomach 36. I can't remember what it's called in English, but it's super good for nourishment. So it's like literally right here. And honestly, like if you have digestive stuff and you're sliding your finger down close to that shin bone, you're going to feel little divots, little holes where it's like a little bit depleted. So that's a really awesome one for boosting your digestion. And literally any kind of like digestive disturbances, you can use that spot.
Very helpful. Anybody
Cool.
have any more questions? Drop them in the chat. We're still here for a few more minutes. I know we started a couple of minutes post.
Yeah.
And I'm going to drop down Abby's contact down here.
Yeah.
So Abby Presley. You can find her at AcuLift LA. Where else can they find you, Abby?
I mean, that's the place that I'm the most, honestly. Aculift LA. I do have a Facebook, but honestly, I don't go on there. I'm most active on Aculift LA. I live in LA. I practice in LA and Orange County if you want like actual acupuncture. But I know since this is virtual, people are everywhere. I'm planning to do more like educational stuff. So, and I mean, you can leave my email down there too. Feel free to email me or DM me. And I'm happy to help however I can.
And what's your email? Let me just put this down here.
It's aculiftla@gmail.com.
And everyone's saying, thank you. That was beautiful.
Yes, good. I'm so glad. Thanks for letting me share it with you. I hope it added a little value to your day and just something to use and keep in your back pocket for whenever things are feeling weird in your life, you know.
Yes, and Abby and I know each other in IRL, in real life.
Yeah.
We met at different sound baths, and she shows a lot of points on her son, and I think that's really cool. Maybe we'll do another workshop on children's acupuncture.
Yeah, totally.
She posts a lot of information about different herbs. So if you want to have a consultation with her, like absolutely find Abby. I think we're going to get you on WellSet too. It's just, you know, it helps people book you. It's you know, it's nice to know and put faces to the people like giving the information. And
For sure.
And if you have time, there's a few more questions before we wrap. Somebody asked about, wait, let me scroll back. What kind of oil to use on the body?
So I'm a huge fan of keeping things like simple and clean. I actually really like almond oil, jojoba. I mean, you can use like coconut, olive, whatever you have on hand. Super simple. There are some really cool like Chinese liniments if you have like pain or something. But other than that, I would say just keep it simple, super simple.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. My name is Shanila. I'm from Integrative Wellness Leaders. Thank you, WellSet, for helping host this. Thank you, Abby. And
thank you so much for having me.
I'll see you soon, eventually.
Bye.
In real life. Bye.
I know. Bye.